Welcome to Hunting Cast. Today is November 4th, 2022. We've been planning to do this for some time now. We're just now getting the gears turning, get the ball rolling, putting the plan into action. Joined here with Drew Carter, Colton Gibson. We got Blue Carter running the computer, making this all happen.
Man behind it all.
Oh, yeah. Today, we're going to talk about rut. It's coming upon us real quick. Seeing a lot of action.
Starting to heat up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean,
Give
now
a little rut report right now.
What have y'all seen?
Seen a lot of rubs and scrapes for sure.
They're starting to be about everywhere here.
I feel like, here's the thing. Like, coming into November, everybody's like even last week, everybody I had talked to, all they talked about was like, it's coming on, it's coming on. I even seen post people talking about they're chasing, and they instantly think it's just.
Yeah, I think the weather's really got them messed up. The temperatures are way.
I think the weather has a lot to deal with it, but like at the same time, it doesn't. You're going to see, obviously, you're going to see a lot more activity at 30 and 40, 50 degrees.
Cold front.
But like, whenever the true rut is on, when they're chasing, you're going to see deer no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be as high populated as 70-degree day versus a 50-degree day, but like right now, it's just, according to our pictures, the pictures that I've been getting, they're definitely getting a lot more
ain't
active.
wide open yet for sure.
No.
It's a lot of the younger, like 1.5 area aged bucks really
like
going for it, you know. But I'm not seeing a lot of real mature bucks chasing right now.
And I found this interesting. I went to Indiana this past week, and I just went for one day, but it was during the cold front, expecting to see a lot of it, either seeking or chasing or anything, and there wasn't hardly anything going on, in which you would expect going north.
Being colder temperatures.
Well, and you would think the rut would be in a little bit quicker or a little bit more activity going on, and it's pretty much the same as what's going on here.
I feel like where we're at right now, it's a lot of hit or miss.
Yeah.
It has to do a lot with the weather. You get a good cold front right now, you're probably going to see some good activity.
Yep.
But
definitely.
It's real hit and miss if you don't got a good cold front, I feel like, right now.
And
like, back in October, when we was getting some cooler temperatures, like October 15th and stuff, I was seeing just about as good as activity then as I am right now.
Yep.
And we're in the first week of November. But
and it's 70s out.
Yeah.
You know,
it's really weird for this time of year.
I've gotten a lot of pictures right now of, they're not, I don't have any studs on camera this year, but like I've got 3.5-year-olds that are hitting scrapes at 9 o'clock. So it's like.
Yeah. I had a picture yesterday of a 4.5-year-old, kind of like a cool buck 8 I've had for 3 years, I think, 3 seasons since 2020. But anyways, he came and hit a scrape at like 4:30 yesterday, so that's pretty good activity. But
it's a lot of your activity right now. I feel like it's gonna be like first hour in the morning and first hour in the evening, just because of the temperature.
Yeah,
mostly. Yeah,
majority of the time.
They're starting to move a little later in the day, but.
Well, have you had anything on camera this week?
Not really. I've had a few bucks.
Troy has got a stud.
Somewhere.
Troy has got a stud. We've got the sheds right here
somewhere.
I've had him on camera.
I want to kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Cameras. What is your idea? Like, I've talked to a lot of guys, and a guy I work with, he's a big believer in it, and I can somewhat believe it, and I've costed myself a lot of hunts just by hunting the camera. But that camera literally only gets so much of a view.
That's what got me on that buck last year.
And I feel like
the cameras have ruined me. I've passed up so many good deer because I'm always looking for that buck that I had on camera once or twice, 3 times. When I have bucks constantly being on camera, good sized bucks, and I'm just out for that one, and I get stuck on it. And another thing is like moving stands. You can't look
going back and forth.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Like
it's hard to decide that. Like if you get him on pictures on like 2 different places, it's
especially like
it can be a dangerous game,
and especially if you got good wind for both stands. It's like, what do you decide? Like, what is y'all's deciding factor on? Like, I think my biggest thing is just gut instinct.
Yeah.
It's just
pretty much.
But I've also been like second guess myself, and I should have went with my second guess.
Definitely windage too. That's a big part.
I mean, well,
in
that's what I'm
choosing
saying. Like,
route.
if both wins are great for both,
Yeah.
I'll play a scenario from 2019. I was hunting in this new stand location. It's a huge block of woods, big funnel. Didn't have any cameras down there. I just went in there, hung a stand one evening, and started hunting there. I was seeing some pretty good activity, but I had no cameras down there, so I didn't know if good deer were down there or not. But just looking at the aerial view of this place, you got good cropland on both sides of the creek, and I'm like, just in my mind, you would think that a mature deer is going to walk those bottoms before he's going to travel those field edges. And like it's a weird place to hunt.
What part of the year was this when you?
I hung the stand probably late October, 1st of November.
Okay.
So it was getting in good time to
About this
hunt
time of year.
anyways. Yeah, about this time of year. So anyways, I started hunting there, and I wasn't seeing a ton of deer, but just kind of
Quality deer.
steady activity. Yeah. And I seen some decent bucks and whatever, and we got into, it was opening weekend of modern gun season 2019. And I hunted that stand in those bottoms that morning. And I hadn't had a shooter deer on camera all year. So I hunt there that morning, see some decent activity, nothing crazy, a little bit of chasing, like some small bucks and stuff. Midday, I go pull my cord on a camera that's like half or 3/4 of a mile from where I was hunting. And I got a 9-point show up. He's like a 4.5-year-old deer. Had him on camera the year before. Like a good shooter. Like a deer that I wanted to kill. So anyways, then I was stuck between hunting there. I had him there at nighttime, so it wasn't a daytime picture. I was like, do I hunt there? It was a good doe bedding area that I've killed a good deer there before. But I was like, do I hunt there, or do I go to where I feel like I got a better chance of maybe catching this deer in the daytime, maybe making his way to this bedding area, like later on that night when I had him on camera. It was like 9 at night. So anyways, I go set in that big creek bottom. Where I didn't know if there was a good deer down there or not, but I was just guessing that deer might have been coming from that direction, out of those bottoms. And I hunted there that night, and he come right through there at like 4 o'clock in the evening, and I killed him. So a lot of people though, they would have hunted where I had him on camera.
Yep.
In that doe bedding area.
Yep.
That's like again, when bow season opened up, I was hunting a buck at one farm, and he's probably 150, 160 class deer. Hunted him, could never kill him. So my target buck from last year shows up at my other farm, which is it's across the highway from the one farm, and I start hunting him. Finally, buck stops showing up. I pretty much just give up on him, to be honest about it. And now I put hours and hours and hours into that deer, all day sits and everything.
What year was this?
This was this year.
Oh, this year?
Yeah. And was watching trail cameras, not getting anything, and then that deer that I was hunting at the beginning of the season shows up at my other farm. It's
I remember you saying that.
1.3 miles.
Yeah.
And that
That's
was
Which really isn't that far.
That
Like,
time of
that-
year,
like-
like when they're transitioning from summer to fall patterns,
it's crazy.
They move.
Especially the amount of like new deer you get on camera
Yeah.
too. Going from like spring, you have all these deer on camera that are like, or summertime, you have all these deer that you know,
Yeah.
and then they get hard horned, and next thing you know, that buck you had on camera all summer long is gone, but you
Yeah.
got a brand new buck that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And same way in November.
And you'll have the same deer too do that every year sometimes. Like you'll just have them in velvet and just have them in rut.
Yep.
It happens.
And like, if you could ever get in the mind of them, the guy that could figure that out.
Problem with me, they all.
that
It
would just
seems
ruin the
like
sport.
It
I mean,
seems
I
like-
agree. It definitely makes it a chase, but sometimes it gets aggravating.
like I got buddies that they'll have a deer working all summer, and he'll do that for the first week or two of bow season. They can kill him.
Yeah.
Every time on me, they make that transition literally like
Yeah.
6-7 days before opening day of bow season.
And that's
Every time.
That's one thing that I find crazy is like people. I'll get deer on camera during the summer, and it's like obviously they'll have I'll have midday pictures,
Yeah.
mornings and evenings, whatever, like everybody else does. But there's never been a set schedule that I've ever gotten a deer on camera. If I
I
do,
ain't really
it's
either.
like 2 days in a row that I might get him, and then after that it's whatever he might want
I
to
mean,
do.
I've had good deer just like that one that showed up this year when my camera wasn't sending every single day.
Yeah.
But they never
Rarely-
went for very long, for sure.
And I don't know if
For
TV
me.
has ruined that for us, where people are just watching TV and they see that and that's what they expect out of every deer during the summer.
Yeah.
But like for me, I've never had a deer patterned, especially going into bow season, well enough to be like,
Yeah.
I can confidently go out here and either see him, just seeing him, laying my eyes on him,
Right.
rather than shooting.
And that's what TV doesn't show. You know, it doesn't show them going out and hunting weeks and weeks and weeks for this one buck. It shows them killing it.
Yeah,
That or all the
and-
times
and
they
it's-
think they're going to kill it and they don't. You
Yeah.
never see that. But
And another thing is like, obviously, I don't have the money or sponsorship as a TV hunter that has 50 game cameras out and
Yeah.
is able to see that. So I'm hunting off of 3 or 4 cameras in one spot, hoping to see this one deer because I can't afford to put all of my cameras in one spot whenever I might be missing a nice deer on the other side of the farm. So it's just, and hunting the cameras, all in all, really can cost you a deer because
Yeah.
just when you think that deer's gone and you give up hope, he shows back up and you're laying in bed cozy and warm wishing you had been hunting that stand.
And I got a lot of buddies that will not hunt if they don't have a good deer on camera.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty good.
I won't
I'm
lie.
guilty.
I'm
I'm guilty.
guilty
Of
of
that.
I mean, we all can be, but some people like legit. They'll not hunt all year if they never get a picture.
I wouldn't do that.
I mean,
And I'm
taking-
like, dude, if you would just go sit in your stand, especially some good like stands where you can see some ground where you're at, you can learn a lot in a
Yep.
couple sits. A lot
I
more than
mean,
your trail cam's gonna
This
tell you.
this deer right here, the sheds of that deer, had him on camera. I think it was 2016, 2016, I believe.
2016,
I was in high school. Might have been, it was 2016, 2017.
good looking deer.
Whenever it was. Had him on camera all year long. Obviously got his sheds that year. Great deer, big bodied deer. Did not see him one time the following year. Didn't have a camera picture. My uncle didn't have a picture. My cousin didn't have a picture of him. And I just kind of gave up on that deer. Either he got hit,
Yeah.
shot, neighbors, something. And just kind of gave up. Was like, I don't have really good deer on camera. I hunted some, but didn't hunt as much as I should have, obviously. And sure enough, I think it was the second weekend of gun season, my cousin killed him. I never got it scored, but, I mean, judging by those sheds compared to his new set, I guarantee he gained another 15 or 20 inches easily.
Probably
And-
150
And
inch deer.
he field dressed 246, so
That's a heavy deer.
he was
there.
a hoss of a deer.
For around here, you don't
Yeah.
see that very often.
And I mean, the crazy thing is though, is like I gave up
Yeah.
because I didn't have him on camera.
What's
And
What's y'all's go-to tactic for rut, as far as like mock scrapes or grunting or rattling or?
I don't make a ton of mock scrapes.
I've never I made 2 mock scrapes this year, and they hardly ever got hit.
Yeah,
Like,
I
if
make
they
them every
did-
now and then, and I've had them. I've had deer hit them, but I've never never had like good success off of them. I
Well,
know people do.
One thing
Right.
I've found is just going back to locations that I know that I've
Yeah.
found scrapes before, and it seems like it never fails. They hit those same
Yeah,
spots
same branch.
every time, and you can hunt those spots, set cameras up prior to them hitting scrapes, and I feel like that's a great tactic for me, anyways.
Yeah.
And same thing for rub lines, like the deer that I have in my backyard. Literally in my backyard. I bought my house last year, and whenever I bought my house, it was late November going into December. There was a rub line going up a set of pines.
On the edge of your yard.
Yep. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I had already killed a deer, didn't really care at
Bought.
the time. yeah,
Probably.
yeah. Bought it because of that.
That was a selling
You
point.
probably
Yeah.
offered them more than they was asking.
yeah. Had to get it. So this year, I decided to set up a camera in my backyard just to see what's coming through. I've had quite a few does come through there, see them just about every evening. And which obviously during October, it seems like deer usually go a little bit more nocturnal. So I was like, I'm going to set up this.
The October lull,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what people call it.
I set up a camera on a scrape, and sure enough, this dude's hitting a scrape in my side yard and is hitting a rub line that,
Pretty interesting.
like,
You need to like
He hit-
angle your camera where you can see your house in the
Yeah.
back.
well, I mean, what's funny is he hit the same rub same tree that was
Yeah.
rubbed last year. Don't know if it was the same deer. Have no idea. But
You just set the camera up in the windowsill and
Yeah.
shoot it out.
Yeah.
The ring camera.
but I mean, it's. When do y'all think the best time is to hunt scrapes?
In my opinion, like right now, where we're at, usually I think it's a little slow this year for some reason. But most of the time, if I'm gonna be steady hunting scrapes, I like October 20th through November
The
7th,
biggest thing is a nice cold front.
somewhere in there. Yeah.
If you don't have a cold front and you're sitting in the tree stand and it's 60 degrees out and it's been 60 all week, you're likely not going to kill that
Yeah.
deer. But with that being said, it is possible.
Oh yeah, anything's possible.
Well, that's
hunting.
like I got a camera on a scrape, and it's just a scrape I found this year. Never had a camera in that area really, but it's a good spot. It's probably a good spot to catch deer in the daytime. And so I hang a camera on the scrape, and immediately I get like a 3.5-year-old 10-point that I've been seeing. Get him a time or two, and then it goes real slow. I get a buck here and there, deer passing it, not even hitting it, and then randomly, this has been like 10 or 12 days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks today, actually. The Big Ten, the number one target deer that I'd like to kill, comes in there at 10:50 a.m. and just tears the scrape up. And it was a
cold
cell
front.
camera, but it didn't send to me till 8. That's when I got it set. But he hit it at 10:50, and then he come back and hit it at like 6 that evening. Good shooting light. So twice in one day, aiming back since. Has
Makes
not
no
came back.
sense.
The
no.
biggest deer I've ever got on camera was a deer in rut, and I'm talking this deer was massive. I mean, huge mass, spread. The tines were incredible.
Talking about that real heavy deer.
Yeah, and
that was he a 10 or a?
this was a midday picture. I don't know if that's the same one you're
Oh, I
thinking
don't
of.
know.
I know which one you're talking
I
about.
think I do know what
He,
you
Yeah.
He's got like Coke can bases.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. It was at 12. It was like 12:10.
What time of year was that?
This is some year.
Like first of
It was
November.
right in the dead center of rut, which I know it's off this year, but and I mean just one picture. That's all it took. And but so that was back when I was taking pictures of a laptop screen with my cell phone. You know, that's way before Tacticams. I
Yeah.
think that was 2015. But it's you
Never
get-
seen him again.
No.
Anybody ever kill him?
No, not that I know of. The neighbor, what's funny is the neighbor, I got him on camera, and he printed a picture out of him and brought it to me to show me because he didn't have a cell phone that took pictures
Yeah.
at the time. But
Old school there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Nowadays
when-
we just send it via message
Yeah, a whole lot easier.
or
now.
Snapchat.
Yeah. What's y'all think too many does is a problem during rut?
See, I think
don't
that's
really
a big
think
debate.
so.
Here's my thing. So, your farm has 100 does on it, which you got 500 acres. You got 100 does. Obviously, you're not going to have those 100 does in one spot.
Yeah.
But your buddy's farm over here that directly comes up to you. Here's the thing: those does aren't going to stay right there in that location
no,
at all
especially
times,
when it
especially
gets
You'd be
during the rut.
surprised how much a doe travels.
Yeah, especially during the rut, because the buck's going to chase her, and she's just
Yeah.
going to go get as far away from him as much as
Let me
possible.
pause you for a second and explain what I've seen a doe like. All right, there's a doe she's got 2 throat patches, and I seen her last year. First time I seen her, I believe I was hunting the farm up the road. It's like a mile and a half from where we hunt at. Well, it's a farm I hunt at, but this is another farm, like beside my parents' house. So I see her over there, and then I see her again all the way down where Blue hunts. So it's like a mile and a half, and she's got the 2 throat patches. And then I've seen her at my house. I seen her at my house the other day. But just think about like how far one doe could pull if she was in heat. There's no telling how far
When
she could
was that?
pull a good deer. I started seeing her last year, and I still see her this year. Get pictures of her and see her and stuff. But it's crazy how
here's the thing.
you wouldn't think a doe would travel, and without some kind of unique feature on them, you can't tell.
Here's the thing:
But
how do you know that that's the same doe, even though she does have a
Because
double throat patch?
I'm 99% positive because it's not like a perfect patch. It's like one of them's like regular, and the other one's like super
Yeah,
faded.
yeah.
So I think it's the same deer. Looks about the same size and stuff, but
Yeah. I mean, but like
could not be.
as I was get back to what I was saying, the thing is though, if your buddy has 5 does on his farm,
Yeah.
I'm gonna dumb it down to 20 does on your farm because 100's,
That's a
especially
lot of
around
does.
here. Especially around here, we're not in Iowa or wherever that might be at.
Michigan.
Yeah. So, if you've got 20 does and he's got 5 does, I feel like you're more likely to bring bucks in on you because he's gonna have a lot more availability to go to does.
Yeah.
He's gonna hit those 5 does and then he's gonna move to the farm with 20 on them.
Your buck might wander over there like 12:05 a.m. and hit his 5 does and come back.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just.
And he's gonna go after the stinkiest one too. Like, I don't think it. What do y'all think? How does a buck choose which doe he's gonna go after?
I don't think anybody.
Obviously, nobody's got that
I was
answer.
like, what is your opinion on it?
I
though?
have always heard that like a mature buck likes a mature doe.
Do they go by like smell though? Like
I don't know.
I think
if
it's
a
all-
doe-
I
if
know
a
they
doe's
smell. I know they smell whenever they're in heat or coming in heat. But as far as like the level of stench,
I think
I don't know.
I think the first doe a buck smells coming in heat, he's gonna be on her,
Oh yeah,
and he's gonna be with her as long as he can,
Yeah,
as long as
but-
she'll let him.
But we're coming back to what he was saying, like the
The-
20 does and all
the
that.
20
if he's
to
chasing,
5.
if he's
Oh.
chasing a doe and he comes across one that's just like,
In heat,
yeah, like potent, you
Yeah.
know, is he gonna go after
it's
that?
like
I'd say
prime,
he will.
like ready to be.
Yeah, is he gonna break off from that first doe and go to another one?
I mean, I would say the
if
possibilities.
he's
are-
after a doe that's probably running from him or something, and he comes up after one that's coming in heat, I'd say he's gonna leave that one.
and
I
go-
feel like
would-
that time of year they're just checking does like that
Yeah.
all the time
And that-
anyway.
But like at the same time, and I hear a lot of people they're like, "You got to kill does for food." Well, I'm just saying, there's no possible way around here they're going to run out of food
yeah,
between the amount of crops that they have.
Yeah.
Unless you just
I'm
don't,
sure it'd take a lot.
yeah.
That's what we tell the
So, like-
anti-hunters, though. We gotta tell them we gotta make it like we really have to keep them managed, like because they'll start.
That's for
eating themselves.
diseases. That's tell them for diseases.
Yeah,
But like, I just don't know if I really believe the whole doe management thing. I mean, I know the buck to doe ratio is a good thing to have. Like,
Yeah.
you want a higher buck to doe ratio, but the amount of does that you have, I think, is a question you need to.
well, that's just
ask.
like that 2019 hunt I was talking about, where I had that deer on trail cam picture versus where I hunted. Where he was on trail cam is just a huge doe bedding area. It's just a thicket. There's a little pond in the middle, and it's literally just all grown up, just a bunch of brush. I mean, it's thick. You can't hardly walk through it. And I bet it's probably like 3 or 4 acres, probably just a patch, 3 or 4 acres. I guarantee 20, 30 does are bedded in there sometimes, because right before dark and early in the morning, they just pour out of there. It's crazy. And you'll never see bucks there early season. About mid-October, they'll start coming in there and checking those does, and then like November, it's mostly at night. That's why I don't hunt it much, but it's a good place for intel.
Well,
So
I mean, like,
I got a
here's
camera there like every single year.
the thing is, though, is like, at what point do you manage does? At what point? I mean, I can understand if you just have nothing but does, but it also depends on your area.
I know
Like
what
if
you
you're in
mean.
a if
You
you're in
gotta
a
like
prime-
know.
if you're in an area of where the does are bedding at
Yeah.
versus where the bucks are bedding at in early season, obviously you're going to get more pictures of does
Because you
or
couldn't
bucks.
hunt. You couldn't hunt where I'm talking about
But,
and try
like,
to get a right buck doe ratio.
you
'cause
need-
it's all going to be does.
Yeah.
And you'd wipe every doe out.
But,
and
like,
have a doe and a buck.
If you
After
have
you
a
killed-
if you have a buck to doe ratio, I feel like the higher the buck ratio to does, which you're never going to get that. You're just
No.
never going to get that unless you just sit down on your farm and just pluck does off one afternoon or a couple afternoons.
Then you
And I
end
just
up
don't.
with no deer
Yeah,
probably.
I just feel like that's not a very healthy
I
solution.
mean, I think it's a good thing to kill a doe or two every year.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
I
usually
mean,
try to, but
get between genetics and
Yeah, I could understand getting like taking some out and then maybe hopefully getting new ones coming in. You know, switch up the gene pool a little bit. It's really good.
that's probably a really good thing. Is just swapping the gene
Yeah.
pool out.
apparently they say like I read like an article or whatever, and they say like 90% of the buck's genes when he's
Is out of the
born
doe.
is from the doe.
Yeah.
It's never from the
So they
buck.
say when you're hunting wild free range areas, I got all these buddies that's like, yeah, I shot this deer, he's messed up. They say it does no good because for one,
See, the question is which doe is that buck coming
yeah,
from?
It's like
you're
people
never gonna
It's-
know.
it's-
So
you're
it's,
never gonna
it's
determine
almost
that.
stupid to shoot. Like, I've had some messed up half racks. here
I've
and
had
there.
a lot of,
Yeah.
especially this year. I can count on.
But it's not like those are always ever gonna just take over your farm.
Well,
Some stinky dogs.
I will say, like over
Like,
the
there's 10 of
past,
them this year.
I say the past 10 years, and this might be our fault because we've not really been shooting any does. We don't have any real reason to. We might, every once in a while, might pluck one doe off here or there every once in a while.
Yeah.
But like the past 10 years, I've noticed a substantial amount of numbers of non-good racked deer. Like they are.
I definitely
One
think,
will have a good side, and the other side is just straight up.
I definitely
and these
think
are all
Warren's
2.5-year-old
passing
deer.
genes, too.
These are all, 1.5, 2.5-year-old deer. I will say I've not seen a 3.5 and a 4.5-year-old, so I don't know if it just might be
I mean,
the time
people
of
got
year.
sheds where they come out of there at 3 or 4
Yeah.
years old.
So I don't know. Like you said, I've not seen a mature buck on our farm that has been
Yeah.
messed up. So I guess that's not a really good reason to
That's like,
take him out of the gene pool.
These sheds right here, that buck this year, when I did have him on camera, he's not near as nasty on that one side as he is on this one.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what he has because he was in velvet
just
when
a
he came.
tank.
But
You said it scored
yeah.
150 something?
no,
Deer of a lifetime.
Was it
170? I think it was
170?
171.
Yeah.
That's
That's what I
the
thought.
sheds.
'cause
That's
he's just
guess
got
with like a.
crazy, that crazy.
That's
mass
like guessing
measurement.
a 16-inch spread or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was with us. I think that's what we measured with the
Yeah.
16-inch spread,
Which
I'm
is-
sure he had every
which
bit
is
of it.
about what he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was right outside the ears on the inside.
The
So.
mass he carries is what helped him so much.
Yeah.
And this year, I don't
Crazy.
think he was as big.
I don't think he was either. I think it's a
Which-
very old.
I bet
deer.
Which
he
would
would
make
score
him a
close to
very-
the same.
Yeah.
Which I
I
think
don't
he might
think
have got heavier.
I don't think it's that far off. I don't think he.
He doesn't have these
shrunk or
stickers
anything.
anymore,
Is
neither,
it-
does he?
No.
In my opinion, last year, like when you had him on Trailcam, you sent me some pictures. I was like 145, 155, somewhere in there.
Really?
Yeah, until I seen
I
the
guess
shed.
160s.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just from because his Trailcam pictures half
he's-
the time they were blurry
Yeah.
from the cell cam.
That
I was
and he's
like,
just a tight rack buck.
yeah.
I mean, he's not a wide deer by no means, but I mean, the palmation on that deer is
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that
Pretty
deer
wild.
one time in person, and
Which-
400 yards. And that morning, it was I want to say it was sprinkling rain, misting rain or something. I can't remember. It was gun
Wasn't you
season.
just getting them in 2 locations, just hitting
Well,
this?
I had 3 location. He would run back and forth, and say I had him at this stand, I would go to this stand, but then he'd end up over here. He just played games with me all season. Opening day of gun season, it was mist and rain or something. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was, I don't know. But I sit in this hunting house overlooking 2 fields, and there's a valley in between, and they usually the does will run those bucks right across that field. They'll run through that ravine, come up, and they'll run across the other field. And I was just sitting there, and I was looking at one spot, and all of a sudden I see a rack pop up 400 yards. I was looking at it through the binos, and I'm thinking, I don't think that's him. So I was sitting there watching him, and sure enough, he went right to the stand that I was planning to sit in before it was, it started,
Howling tornado.
whatever it was. I can't remember exactly what was the reason that changed my mind, but I mean, he went right to, he didn't stop and eat, but he went right through
He
that
passed
corn
your
pile.
camera, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
had
remember that.
I
because
remember.
I also remember you were duck hunting instead of deer hunting.
oh yeah, then
I wanted to smack you for that.
3 or 4, I don't know how long it was.
That was your first year of duck hunting too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And I was like,
But I'd be sitting in the duck blind. I mean, we'd have a ball, and then I'd look at my Tacticam notification. I'd just get a sick stomach because he'd be there. Right at shooting.
One day
light.
you got him on camera at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like this was like middle rut.
Yeah.
You got him. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon chasing does.
And that's like I had that deer that traveled that 1.3 miles or whatever. He could be doing the same thing. I mean, he stuck around from.
You had him in velvet, didn't you?
That's
that,
the thing.
That picture this year.
This is a
Yeah.
prime reason hunting by the camera because that deer is liable to be there. I wouldn't bet.
I wouldn't doubt a bit.
I
You know
wouldn't
he's been
bet.
there this year probably more than you got him on camera.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
I guarantee you he has been there way more than what you've gotten him on camera.
Yeah.
It's just your hunting by the camera will ruin your hunt.
It messes me up sometimes.
Yeah,
I-
it definitely.
I agree, especially if you've not been getting deer on camera and you're like, I'm gonna go hunt over here because I've been getting deer on camera.
I love my cell cameras, but sometimes I miss just having a few cameras out and pulling cards ever so often.
No, I hate pulling
Because
I would-
cards.
I would
almost-
stick it out though one spot and just hunt it so hard. And cell cams, you're just like, man, I just got a big
Well,
deer
I
over
think
here,
that's a
gotta
great
go.
thing about cell cameras because
It
you're not
is.
getting in there in the woods and
Oh,
just
yeah.
stirring crap up.
It
For
ruins
sure.
you as a hunter, though. It really does.
I'll agree on that.
Because if I would have hunted, if I turned all my cell cams off, or even deleted the app and let somebody else watch it, be like, don't tell me, I'd be hunting those 3 stands, but I wouldn't know where he was at the night
You
before.
probably would have set it one enough times to probably get a crack
Yeah.
at him.
And
It's
I don't know.
it's a
it
it's
still
a
makes
game.
me sick thinking
I
about
mean,
it.
I'll say this: I think cell cameras are a good thing and a bad thing.
They're a
between
great
the
thing.
between the
They
they
are
are.
great things.
Just like
Like-
everything else, it has its pros and
Like
cons.
there's a spot where I killed that buck in 2019 and killed that deer to the next year. Like going back there, like I went back there this year, took a mineral block and a salt block, threw them out. This was late May. Put a good set of batteries in that camera and bounced out of there. And I got activity all summer. Didn't have to step foot in that big holler. I'm getting intel all summer.
But see, if you had an SD card, you'd go out there at least
Oh, I
once
know.
every 2 weeks
Well,
to make sure the
Oh,
battery.
when I had SD
That
cards,
time of
I would
year-
go out every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I would go out-
because I was that excited.
I would
to
go
see 'em.
every week, just because I just wanted to see what I got on camera.
it
that
depends
week.
where the camera's at. And nowadays, when I've got a camera deep, I like for it to be a cell camera, so I don't have to tramp through those woods and check it.
Mhm.
But if it's like rut and I don't have a cell camera on this scrape that's getting hit, I do like to check my cameras. If it's good access, I can just drive up to it or walk right to it. Good access, like I like to check them every 5 to 7 days when they're really hitting the scrapes, just to know what's coming. But if it's deep in the woods through summer, even I'll go 5 or 6 weeks on some cameras, or maybe I've went 2 months. If season's not in, it don't matter. I know they're good on batteries and stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever you
But-
set a camera up on a scrape, do you do anything to it?
I don't touch it.
You don't.
I stay away from it most
See,
of
I
the
see people,
pee in
pee
'em.
in them or
Yeah.
put dope in them or
I
put
did.
leaves
I've
in them.
put-
I did that today. Actually,
I've done all of them.
I'm trying it out.
And I don't think I've
Nice.
not seen any.
He's gonna check.
I definitely. I don't think it's gonna push deer away for sure.
Well, it's definitely not. I just haven't seen anything to like. Yeah, this is what you need to do
He's
to
gonna-
bring a deer in.
He's gonna check that scrape regardless.
He's going to check that scrape whenever he's ready to check that
Yeah.
scrape. He's not going to come in because he smells it. Because more than likely, unless you just sit up on his bedroom and found the scrape right out of his bedroom, he's not going to smell it.
Yeah.
He's not. Because this deer, like I've had in my backyard, he has been crossing who knows what to get through my backyard. He's crossing from across
Off my front porch.
a main highway from my neighbor's farm,
Yeah.
going through my backyard, going to my.
Are you guessing that because you don't have him on
He's-
camera at your papaws or?
He's coming from the main highway.
No.
There's no other way he can be coming unless he's just walking up 1214 and then,
Yeah.
which I doubt it.
You gonna hunt the F-250?
I guess, but no, I'm not. But I just don't think there's really a good way of like knowing, especially like sitting out scents for that. I think it's a
Yeah.
good coverage, like. If you're sitting in a stand and you've got dopey and a scrape that you know a deer has been checking,
Right.
he's going to keep focused on it whenever he smells that coming in.
Yeah. Like I've seen bucks. I think that's what they were doing though, and I've always heard they'll go downwind of a scrape and check it a lot of
See,
times.
I
And
think
if
that's
they,
a big
If
thing.
they smell fresh dopey scent, whatever, I
They
think
come
they're
up
gonna
there.
come check it out.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing of it is like they are in the vicinity of it, but not.
And I wouldn't doubt, like, I feel like sometimes, especially if the scrape's not covered in leaves and stuff, I feel like sometimes, like, where my camera is right now, if it's a south wind, like, it's hitting the camera, I wouldn't doubt they're checking that scrape behind my camera sometimes, and you never see them.
You never see them.
But I want to talk about hunting scrapes for a second, what kind of scrapes I like to hunt.
I mean, there's only one type of scrape, right?
You think
No.
size?
I'm talking
You
about,
think size of a scrape
I think the bigger the scrape, the better.
or size of a tree or like a
Ah.
rub on a tree? Do you think that's
Trees.
here's
That's
what I
the
know
biggest.
of-
That's a big one. Is like rubs on a tree.
Here's what I like to hunt though, as far as scrape goes. And I found one the other day. Didn't see a lot when I hunted it, but like if I can find a scrape with some good rubs right there inside of it, and it's like got some cover around it, something that you might catch a deer in moving in the daytime, and the scrape's fresh, the rubs are fresh, and they're on good sized trees. That's something I like to hunt.
See, I'm not a true believer
I'm a believer in it.
on. Now I will say this.
There's
I think the
videos floating
size.
around the internet.
I will say the size of a rub, where it's just tore up, versus a little like somebody took their daggone fingers and ripped the bark off.
Yeah.
I think that might be a big difference because
Yeah, I
I've
mean-
seen some cedars this big around that I know a big deer did not hit because it's barely scratched.
Yeah.
It's just some little 1.5
I
ring
mean, I
deer
seen a
walking
video
through
on Facebook the other day of somebody put a camera on a big rub size of a dang telephone pole, and this little spike walks up to it, and he's like rubbing it. But I mean, yeah, it might happen. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, if you find a good rub and it's this big or bigger, and it's tore up for 2 feet of the tree and kind of up higher, I feel like 9 times out of 10, that's a 3+ rub.
I feel like it. I can agree on that point.
So if
Yeah.
I see that on a big scrape, I like to hunt it if
and
I
I mean,
can.
fresh scrapes too.
Yeah.
But the thing is about scrapes, I think they're, especially like setting the camera up that I've had on this year.
Yeah.
It seems like this buck, he didn't really have a pattern. Obviously, this time of year, most deer don't have a pattern. But for the first 2 pictures I had of him were obviously at nighttime, which in October, I feel like majority of your scrapes are going to be hit at nighttime unless you get a good cold front. But he came in every 5 days between 2 pictures. There was
Yeah.
5 days that he came in. And then now we're in the first week in November. It's like he just flipped a switch. It's kind of funny how it happened.
Coming in quite a bit.
He came in daylight for 3 days in a row, and
Yeah.
it's 70 degrees out. No rhyme or reason. But like,
Looking for
I
that
feel
first
like
hot dough.
I feel like hunting a fresh scrape versus just any scrape is your best bet.
And I feel like a lot of people get on these scrapes. Like there'll be scrapes over there by that big doe bedding area I'm talking about, and you can wear that out late October, and 9 times out of 10 you're not gonna catch a mature buck hitting that in the
Yeah.
daytime. He's gonna be hitting it at
Nighttime.
middle of the night.
Yep.
But if you can get to where you know deer like deep in the woods where some bucks might be bedding, or even over a hill from a field or something where they bed sometimes, if you can get close to them areas like where that one was that I got that deer at 10:50 the other morning, he was probably bedding over there close to it at the time. But if you can get over there, I feel like that's some good times to hunt
Yeah.
scrapes and good areas. But I've never killed a big deer on a scrape, so
I've not either. I've watched one deer make a scrape before I killed
the
him.
one I killed in 2019, he did the licking branch. He didn't clean it out with his feet, I don't think.
I've seen that happen.
And I almost think, because I kind of grunted him in from like 100 yards, I almost think he was just kind of showing dominance. I don't even know if there was a
Yeah.
scrape there before.
I mean, that's
So you're a big
But-
grunting guy.
I like to hit the grunt call
Yeah.
sometimes.
I like it.
I've had some good success with
You
it.
can pull them in on a string.
I,
Sometimes with a
all
good
my
grunt
years
call.
of hunting, I've rattled one deer and it was a first rack buck.
I've rattled one deer in, but I like the idea of it.
I don't even pack them with me most of the time.
No,
It's
I
like,
mean-
I have since I rattled that one deer in, because you don't ever know. I feel like you can almost compare deer hunting into turkey hunting when it comes to calling sometimes.
yeah,
It just really depends
that's
their mood.
that's what I was about to compare it to. Because
It really depends their mood.
there's so many people that swear by rattling, but I almost think it's where you're at and like how dominant
And-
your deer
and
are. Just like
whenever-
that stupid scoot and shoot right there.
Yeah. Yep.
9 out of 10 of
I-
my birds will run from that.
Do not
thing.
use that thing.
No.
I do not use that
I've
thing.
killed one turkey behind one my whole life.
And it's weird. Like they'll run from, like big mature toms will run from that thing, but
Yeah.
jakes will stick around and
Yeah, it don't make no sense. And
I
I
think
wonder
it's
if
mostly just 'cause
I
they're
wonder if the
dumb,
same thing
but-
don't come into play with a rattling horn sometimes. Because I swear I have rattled. I've tried so many different things, and I've rattled one deer in. Of course, I don't wear it out because I've never had much luck out of it.
Yeah.
But
and
But here's the thing.
I tried.
How
every
many
year a
fights
little
have
bit.
you ever seen or heard?
I've heard several. I have.
Yeah.
Like one year I was hunting, and I mean there was two, and I feel like you can tell when there's two decent deer going at it because it's
I
going to
definitely
sound a
feel
lot
like
more than two
A
spikes.
lot louder.
And I mean, it sounded like two people with these horns right here just going at
Just
it for
going
like
at it.
20 minutes.
And
Really?
a lot
But
of
they was in a
people-
thicket. I never seen them. And I've heard deer like spar a little bit, and I've seen little bucks spar, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never just seen two mature deer just wide open in the field.
And
but,
what I've seen from people rattling, they'll use a smaller horn too. They won't use a big mature buck
I see.
horn.
I don't think that's the best way to go about it.
I don't know anything about rattling because I don't do it, but that's just what I've heard of people doing.
you wouldn't think a deer would even be able to tell from 100, 200 yards away. Like,
I definitely
that
think
sounds like a big deer.
I feel like they will. I mean, you've got all right, say, for instance, you've got a 5.5-year-old deer. He's going to know the difference in a lot of different sounds between, a low-pitched grunt or a high-pitched grunt.
Yeah.
And if you've got two little bucks sparring, he's probably not going to pay much attention to them because that's just kind of, this is way my thoughts go. He's not going to pay much attention to them because he feels like he's not a threat. They're not threatening him because he knows he's big dog and he don't care about two little dinks.
Yeah.
But if you get a set of antlers, now I wouldn't go. I mean, obviously I feel like this set of antlers and that set of antlers are going to make pretty similar sounds, but versus two dinks.
Yeah.
Or a 3.5-year-old, 4.5-year-old rat.
Spike.
Yeah.
You have a pile of spike horns.
I mean, that's a
put them in a bag.
rattle bag.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I feel like you need a decent set of antlers just to make it sound a little bit more of a two mature deer fighting.
And that's
that way the dominant buck's going to come in there and is going to be like,
just don't go to the woods with two rattle horns around your neck.
Yeah.
Don't want to like that.
Yeah.
That's why I choose the grunt. That's why I like the grunt more because
do y'all okay?
it's like an
ask you
invitation,
this.
pretty
Do
much.
y'all do majority of the time? Do you do blind grunting where you don't even see a deer? Nothing.
I do both.
Yeah.
I've
You
had
snort
more,
wheeze too.
I usually don't snort wheeze.
Have you ever had?
I've had that kind of spooked deer before, so I kind of stay
Snort
away from
wheeze?
it.
Yeah.
I know it works for people, and I think it's worked for me a time or two, but I've just seen deer hear that, and like the grunts got their attention, and then you snort wheeze, and they're just like, whoa.
They're like that. Then
Yeah.
I think it's probably just not a.
I was gonna touch on this. What about doe bleats? Have y'all ever called a deer with that?
I've done.
never
You know the
have.
Primo's
The
little can.
Primos
Yeah.
with the can.
Well,
I've used that one time, and
This
it
is
was
what-
pre-season. It was like September, and I called in a doe. Okay.
You had the fawn in it.
Yeah,
Probably
I
what it
guess.
was.
I guess, but like she came in looking like, but I've never used that.
This blows my mind. I was on the Kentucky Deer Hunter page the other day, and somebody posts like, "Who uses these Walmart Primos cans?"
Yeah.
And I get to reading the comments, and people's like, "I won't leave the house without it." All these people are like, "Killed my deer last year with it. Grunted this deer." Posting pictures of 150-inch deer. I'm like, what? Maybe I need to throw that thing back in my pack. I mean, people are having success
I
with
seen
it.
the same post on Facebook, and I was
I'm
like,
about to try it because it had some good
I
comments.
never used it during this season, like in November.
Yeah.
I've never even thought about it. I've
There
got the Primo's Uproar where it's got the
Yeah.
doe bleed on it, and it does not sound anything compared to that can.
I think that
Maybe,
can
maybe
sounds
the can is
good.
the trick.
I think the can, like, have you ever heard a doe bleat or a fawn?
I've heard a fawn.
I've heard a fawn
I've never
bleat.
heard a doe.
And which the Primos can, I could almost imagine that a fawn bleat's going to be fairly similar to a doe.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have a little bit different of a sound, but in my mind. So I feel like the Primos can definitely sounds way more realistic than that Primo's Uproar that I
Yeah.
have. It just sounds like
I'm gonna try it
garbage.
this year.
Maybe
People
it's
were
the
like,
user.
Maybe.
people were like, had a big deer chasing a doe at 100 yards, and I hit that can. He left that doe and came to me, and I'm just like, man,
Maybe
Too good
this
to be
is
true.
Facebook
I
crap.
mean, it might be like all the
And
people
it-
that rattle deer into, and I just can't do it. But
I do know people that have rattled deer in, but like, and killed them. But I've rattled in one deer before, and
well,
it
this
was,
is like, let me tell
it
you
was a
this.
2.5-year-old 6-point.
When I was after that deer, Nathan goes hunting with me one day to film, and he's like, let me hit the horns. I was like, all right, whatever. He ties into them, dude. And I mean, it sounded like two bucks going at it, and he stops, and you hear a deer like snort and run off. And I was like, son of a gun, Nathan. I mean, it kind of made me
That's
mad.
one thing that scares me. I don't even use horns.
Yeah.
I use the rattle pack, and I just try to get
That's
as
what
loud
I
as
got.
that's what I try to do and get as loud as I can. That way, it sounds like two bigger deer.
Maybe I should try to take a couple sheds and try it.
I mean, maybe. My biggest thing is just getting caught. You're standing up there in a stand. A deer's going to see these white horns.
Yeah.
If you're standing up in a stand and you're just going at it,
And that's another thing, like I hunt woods a lot, so I hate to tie into rattling horns when a deer could be 60, 70 yards from me and we
Right.
don't know about
I
it.
seen on TikTok.
Because you know if you do that and he might be like behind a tree or something and walk around and he sees you up there in the stand,
Yeah.
Well, I,
Just,
like,
I seen on
ain't gonna
TikTok
be good.
these people are taking the horns, tying like a rope to them,
I've seen
and
that.
dropping them on
and
the
dropping
ground.
them on the
The hunting
ground. So you got
public, the hunting public do that sometimes, and they've had some success with it. And I feel like that helps because they're hearing the leaves and stuff.
yeah, the leaves.
And
I
that's
do.
gonna-
I
that's
try
gonna
to
help a
grab
lot.
like a tree branch beside me when
Yeah.
I'm doing it and try to.
I wouldn't
shake
care
it,
to
but,
try
like,
that.
Like to see you
Drop
do
a
that.
couple sheds on my bow hoist,
Yeah.
and I mean if I rattle much this year, that's probably what I'll try. See how it works.
Let us know about it because
We'll let everybody know.
I'll let you be the guinea pig.
Maybe might get a good video out of it or something.
or scare all the deer out of the woods. One or two.
What's your all's if y'all could only hunt one day in the next 2 weeks, what would be the day that you would go?
I mean,
The next cold front.
yeah, and
Tomorrow.
it never
It's-
fails. Like open day of modern gun,
Hey,
deer
which-
are running wild.
Get this.
Everybody pushing them.
A cold front is moving in that Friday night.
Yeah,
It's gonna
And
be
Saturday morning it's going to be crisp.
deer gonna die.
And there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of deer die that
It's
weekend.
probably gonna sound like
World
like
War
an
II.
army base. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I feel like that's. If you're any kind of hunter, I feel like that's 90%
Yeah.
of them's going to be that answer.
That's when, even though I mostly bow hunt, and I'll probably take my bow and a rifle that day because
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going
I'll
to.
be taking the longbow,
the
the
longbow.
308.
What caliber of bow do you shoot?
yeah. No, but I'll be taking both. But it's like if I did have one day every year, especially with the weather that I got, that's
I feel like
looking
November
for next
12th.
weekend. Yeah.
That has been like the
Yeah, even though the November 12th is opener this year, even that date in general, whether
like
it be on a
anywhere from
Wednesday,
your like November 10th to like 15th.
you know,
I feel like has always been prime in
that's
this
a good
area.
time.
Yeah.
And I've also killed two of my good bucks on November 19th when that moon's getting
Yep.
full.
I mean, last year I killed mine on the second weekend of gun season, and I
Yeah.
feel like on our farm, we were seeing a lot more seeking and chasing at that time versus that first week of gun season. It was pretty slow. I mean, there was some chasing going on, but it was mostly 2.5-year-olds, small 1.5-year-olds. But that second week of gun season, it was definitely way
Yeah.
more prime than it was.
It's like every year where I hunt, it'll be wide open like a light switch one day. The next day, might
Yep.
not see a single deer.
Mhm.
And it's like you're in the middle of your peak rut right now. You would think
like-
you would see something.
Makes
and
no
then
sense.
You might go 2 or 3 days without seeing no rut activity. And then one morning they're just wide open. Like last year opening day, I assume there was a hot doe. There was like 5 or 6 bucks behind one doe running her through that holler I was in. And there was a couple 1.5-year-olds, I think, a 2.5, and then a 3.5, I think.
And
But there was a good 8 point in it that I let walk. Good deer.
Well,
what is y'all's go-to for quality versus quantity for hunts?
All year I've been on quality, and it's paid off. I've got some good footage, as y'all might see in the intro. That was both those bucks
Yeah.
were from this year,
Yeah.
not in bow range.
How many
but,
deer did you see on that set?
The last one, the deer in the beginning of the intro, that was the only deer I
The wide
seen.
one?
All evening, only
that was
deer I
some
seen.
beautiful footage.
Yeah.
That's a great
Beautiful.
deer, too.
And then that other one, I think that was the first deer I seen. He moved kind of earlier in the evening. That tall.
That was a
10.
cold front week, wasn't it?
I
It
don't
was in
think so.
October. It was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't think it was real cold. I don't really remember, but I think it was like 65, 70-ish, which is decent. But yeah, I think that was like the first deer I seen. I seen a few more after that, but like this deer, only deer I seen. He come in last light, only deer I seen where I was hunting. That buck in 2019, same spot I killed that one. I think I might have seen a spike right before him. So it was the second deer I seen.
I feel like quality hunts, you don't realize they're quality until they are. Because I've had a lot of crappy hunts. So, I mean, getting to see a lot of deer is one great thing to see, but
Yeah.
just because it makes the time go by quicker.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
fun. It's fun to watch them.
yeah, and you feel better about your choice of where you sat at, even though you didn't see a shooter.
Yeah.
You're like, I seen 20 deer this sit, but nothing was a shooter.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
But that's just like my 2018 buck. only deer I seen. He moved. It was like 8:45 in the morning. I was hunting close to the road. Literally, the landowner walks up the road. The guy I was hunting on. He's like jogging. He tries to stay in shape and whatnot. And he's like, he might have been 100 yards from me. He's jogging up the road. Literally 15, 20 minutes later, this deer crosses the road right where he was just at and comes over there. Only deer I seen that morning.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're coming up on time here.
Yeah.
We, thank
About
y'all for
time to-
watching.
We appreciate it.
wrap this one up.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do this weekly. We got other videos coming. Make sure you follow our Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're gonna try to get this on Spotify if we can figure it out.
We're also,
I
we're
think
going
Blue
to,
can
are we
do that
dropping
for
these
us.
on Saturdays?
Yes, every Saturday.
Every Saturday.
So,
So-
I'm not sure about the time.
No, we'll post it on
we'll
social
post
media.
it on social media beforehand. So
And more podcasts will be coming soon for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
And I mean,
We got more
obviously
topics
this,
to touch
I
on.
feel like there's going to be a lot more, especially since we're in November, we're going to
Yeah.
be a lot more
Yeah.
footage of
Oh yeah,
deer hunting versus podcasts.
it's about to get good.
maybe
as
we
soon as
can
we
get
get some
somebody
cooler
else
weather.
in.
Get in the woods.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe we
the-
can get somebody else next weekend.
For sure.
Join us, spice it up a little bit.
Yeah.
we
Make sure
appreciate
to
it.
make sure to comment if you like
Yeah.
what,
Comment and like.
and what you want to see for the next week.
Yeah.
Would be great too. So
Let us know what you're seeing
Yeah.
as
Yep.
far as rut activity.
Because we'd like to know.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we thank y'all.
All right.